want to tell you about the 10 best bits of theatre that I saw in 2025. To start off with, there was Goldfish, which was this beautiful puppetry show for kids. And at one point, these two sort of disaster relief experts burst into the theatre and told us that like outside the theatre was actually flooding, and this had to become like an evacuation relief center. The puppeteer keeps telling us this story, but like through the visual language of disaster relief, theatre that like grapples with how our world is going to change. I'm so here for. The next show is called United, which was this dance piece sort of examining the relationship between technology and faith. All the performers had these like robotic limbs that could like attach to this like track, and it was just like so like aggressive and violent and spiritual. I don't know, I was gagged. So the next piece of theatre is called Cunt, and it was this bit of clowning where the clown was essentially a large talking vagina. We had to at one point pin the clit on the vagina, and it was just like a brilliant way to like think about how we use gendered language. The next show was called POV, and it was about a family. The mum was experiencing some mental health issues, and the kid was filming a documentary about the parents. But the twist was, it was performed by a kid and two actors who had no clue what they were doing, and so they were directed by the kid in the show. And the next show is Monolith, which was this beautiful dance piece, and all the performers were kind of like loosely rocks, and they moved so slowly. There was something magic happening with time in that space. It was sort of examining like how we resist. The next show was called Smokescreen, and it was a conversation between two marketing executives, literally the whole show, 90 minutes, talking about how to market climate change essentially. This show was just like, here are the machinations that explain why that is. The next show, also crazy. It was called Crisis Actor, and it was sort of like post-apocalyptic, but the survivors of this dystopia had to sort of perform their trauma for this reality show. Whoever cried the best would get the chance to like talk about their trauma, and it was like horrific, but it was sort of commenting on the way that like a genocide that is happening, how that is broadcast through our phones. The next show, The Censor, was a bunch of kids on stage figuring out what art should be censored and what art shouldn't be censored. It was this big discussion of like, how do we look after kids while affording them the agency that they deserve as autonomous people, you know? And then the next show is called No Seasons. I loved it so much. And it was this trans man talking about what to do with the eggs he froze before he transitioned, now that he has been diagnosed with chronic illness. So meditative and reflective and contemplative, and I was just like bawling my eyes out. One of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. And then the last show, my top 10 of the year, was called One Night Only, and kind of talking about how like we have all these moments that are like so crucial to who we are, but also there's so many connections and interrelationality between us. Here's this performer who's never done this show before, experiencing their life, and you think it's their life, and they think it's their life, but then it's not their life, and it's just like, whoa, you know? I feel like I explained that really badly, but it was really beautiful. And if you want to know more about what I thought about all these shows, I wrote it up into like a whole big article on my newsletter, which you can have a read, the link in my bio. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.